Okay, hello everybody, this is me, rbromnick, and this is part of the Talking Jobs series. So today we're going to be talking about work experience and volunteering and just making the most of your time at Lincoln. You know, psychology is a great degree. If you've listened to some of my other recordings, you'll see that you can do anything from, I always say, from A to Z, accountancy to zoology, but our degree is non-vocational. You don't get qualified in the way that, say, a nurse would or a social worker or something. So many of our students will take opportunities to get out and about in the community and into organisations. So I've got two guests with me today. First time we've had two guests. I'm very excited. I've got Heather Saunders. Hi, Heather.
Hello.
And Amie Hayes.
Hi.
So we'll have a chat with Heather first. What is your sort of job title, Heather? How would you...
Well, I know what my title is, and then I'll give you a bit of description.
Please,
So I'm the College of Social Science Work Experience Hub Coordinator.
Okay.
Which is a very long title, obviously. But my role is to support students who are studying within the College of Social Science, which obviously includes psychology students. Yeah. And where those students are undertaking a module that will involve work experience as part of it, I will support the student to think about the type of work experience they want to do. I will work with organisations to ensure that they can meet the needs of those students and in particular the outcomes of their module.
Right, okay, so that's great. So you help with our psychological literacy module in the second year.
I do,
That's
indeed.
great.
Yeah.
But obviously you're a big advocate of work experience.
I'm a massive advocate of work experience.
So in your own words then, what would you say is the sort of overall value of gaining some work experience?
Gosh, there is a lot of value.
Lots of different things.
Yeah, there are lots of elements to it, really. Obviously, from a student's perspective, they're getting to know about organisations and getting inside organisations and seeing what they do. Working with a variety of people, service users, so they get an insight into the fields of work that are out there. When you talk about A to Z, students having that access to doing a psychology degree, it is really helping students to broaden their knowledge of the workplace.
Right. So
a student might be, for example, going to one organisation. I'll pick one off the top of my head. So, for example, West Lindsey District Abuse Service.
Oh, okay.
Domestic Abuse Service. I was grappling with the D.
Right.
But they will get to know about so many other organisations by being in that one.
Because it's
such a hub for other organisations. So going in one organisation can probably feel a bit niche, but actually you get to know about so many other things, as well as working with vulnerable people, working with other professionals, working with children and adults. So it's just using that as an example about the broad range of experience. So beyond that, students have reported, and I can remember it myself from doing work experience, the kind of level of confidence it gives you. You can go
I think that's
feeling
really important.
Absolutely, I don't want to do this, which is where I come in and where
people have to step out of their comfort zone, don't they?
And it's a big step. I remember it really, really well. So I fully appreciate when I'm supporting students that they need those little nudges. It's not as easy as saying just jump off the cliff and do it. But inevitably, students will report 2 weeks, 3 weeks in how confident they feel, that they feel part of a team, they've been accepted and welcomed, and they've learned so much. And they come back from these work experiences and placements when I used to do social work, and you see such a difference, kind of blossoming and confidence, new ideas, and then they take that back into their classroom as well.
Okay, so it can actually pay off for your studies.
It pays off. You know, students will say that it for some of their assignments, it will really enhance them because it brings it to life, brings some of the classroom teaching to life.
Yeah,
so there's all those elements as well. Certainly when you're going and looking for careers afterwards, it'll give you some insight into careers. But equally, if you are applying for jobs, and it is a competitive market, if you can say, well, actually, and often employers will say, well, can you give me an example?
Yeah, I've done a recording about interviews, so people get asked, can you tell me about a time when you've had to use problem-solving skills?
Absolutely, and employers are telling me that's what they want to see. If they're interviewing students and it's a competitive job, as jobs are, they really, really do see the difference when a student has got something real to talk about.
Brings you a variety of things, evidence, I suppose you could call it, because if you're asked about, tell me about a time when you've used problem-solving skills. I mean, you could use your
You
dissertation.
could, yeah.
But I would say everyone does a dissertation.
Yeah.
So, you can articulate those skills. The degree gives you
Absolutely.
those basics, but having some other experience.
It's the degree plus, really. So there's that element of it as well. I think that probably covers some of the key aspects of it.
All right, I'm going to just ask you one more question before we have a chat with Amie. And one of the things that sometimes stops psychology students doing work experience or volunteering, whatever we're talking about, is this notion of relevant work experience.
Yes. So
it's a kind of bit of a problem.
Yeah. So if I take examples from some of the students I met prior to them choosing the psychological literacy
module
elective, there's a real sense of, an absolute understandable sense of feeling that if you're doing a psychology degree, the work experience you would want to do has the title psychology or psychologist in the name of the organisation. And what I work strongly to do with students, help students to understand, is that, so if you're looking at attachment or whatever it is, or, working with loss or trauma, which are all key aspects of a role of a psychologist.
Or even in a job where it requires data handling or something.
Or any of those things, and all those other skills that you get from working in a team, working collaboratively, they can be gained in so many settings.
Yeah.
And it's very rare that somebody would take their first work experience in a setting that is exactly where they want to end up.
Yeah.
So my own example is that I was a social worker with a children's mental health service.
Right.
But there's no way would a social worker go from kind of being pre-qualification to having a work experience in that setting. You do lots of other things along the way that helps you get that placement or work experience opportunity towards the end of your training, potentially. So it's just about, I guess, students thinking broadly about what is relevant work experience.
I think as well, you don't have to know what job you want to do or what career, because you're going to pick up things that can be transferred, can't you?
And again, my own experience is that I wanted to be a lawyer.
Right,
Went on to do a degree, which had law in it, with a view to going on to law, and got a work experience in a probation service, which had a law element of it, which is why it was chosen. Very much took the social care angle of it and ran with that and became a social worker.
Right.
So
you just don't know, do you?
You just don't know, and I didn't know of the opportunities till I went into that setting and heard about all the other things.
I mean, some people, I don't know, it's a bit controversial, say that it's a sort of safe way of trying different work placement, workplaces.
I think it is. I mean,
it
is, because you're not going and you're let.
It's not a lifetime commitment,
or a lifetime commitment, or just kind of thrown in the deep end. If you are, then we'd want to know about it, because I don't think that's good work experience. It is about being alongside people supporting you and guiding you, giving you the training, recognising that you're in training and in learning, so you get all the support you can get.
And you do pick up things. I mean, my own experience, I did mostly, before taking sort of full-time work, my experience was in health or social care type settings or youth work. But I had a summer with an accountant or in an accountancy firm. Oh my God, I really hated it. Yeah. I hated it so much. But you know what? I had to be quite disciplined, and I had to exercise or develop skills about paying attention to detail. So most of what I'd done before was things like organising summer camps, when it played on my extroversion and people skills. But working for that accountancy, I really hated it, but it did develop those skills, and I still have to discipline myself. When you're a student, you're doing your referencing. When I'm working now with data, I have to actually focus and pay attention and make sure. So you never know what skills you'll use and where
there's so many
go.
skills involved in any job. So
that's true, actually.
If you take social work as my example, but equally it could be the psychologists I work with, or some of the nurses. A large proportion of that time is about paperwork, managing your time, organising your appointments, and working with other people. So, those skills come from so many different settings.
Yeah. Well, that's great, Heather. Thank you very much. So a number of our students at Lincoln will do work experience. By the way, we've got some students going off to do a year's placement in
I
government
just
social
think so.
research and other schemes. I would say the vast majority will take up some kind of volunteering if we can encourage them to do that.
Yeah.
So we've got Amie with us today. So you're just completing your second year, aren't you, Amie?
Yeah, I am.
And just tell us a little bit about the volunteering that you're involved in.
Okay, so I'm a volunteer counsellor for Childline, and basically we deal with calls and chats from young people up to the age of 19, and we deal with like a variety of issues, like everything.
Okay.
Um,
Is it like family issues or
Yeah.
mental health?
Mental health is probably the most common issue we come
Right.
across, but yeah, you can get anything.
How did you get into this volunteering work then? You see an ad or someone
I
recommend
wanted to
it?
do some voluntary work, and then I was like looking online at stuff in Lincoln, and I don't know, some of it just looked a bit boring, or like most of it was very niche, like it was you
Okay.
deal with this, and I thought I'd probably get bored with that, especially if
Right.
you're not getting paid for
Yeah,
volunteer
you
work.
have to do something that grabs your attention, believe in the organisation.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to like dread going in or just have it being
No, no.
boring. So then I looked at Childline, and obviously I know they deal with like I said, everything. And it was in Nottingham, but my mum lives in Nottingham, so I
Okay.
could travel. And then I just thought, okay, I'll just apply and then
Right.
see how it goes.
Were you interviewed and things for the post?
Yeah, there was quite a long application process,
Right.
to be fair.
That's
And-
good practice as well.
Absolutely.
yeah, that's true. And it got me thinking, like, they asked you lots of different questions. And then I went to the interview, and it was lots of, like, group activities. It was like
Okay.
a group interview.
yeah.
It was only, like, 3 of us, so it wasn't too bad.
All right.
And then, yeah, but there was training.
All right.
Which-
How long did that last? Because I know it's quite extensive with Childline.
That was about 12 weeks, and it was 1 or 2 sessions a week, ranging from like 9 to 5 on a Saturday or a few hours on a Tuesday evening. And then we also did 2 mentored shifts, so that's when we did a shift, but there was
okay.
someone with us who was
Right.
helping us a
Listening
little
into
bit.
the call as well? Or?
Yeah, they listened in and guided us with what to say and stuff. Yeah, and then we started, and I've been doing it for about 6 weeks now.
Right. And you now do those calls on accompanied sort of thing?
Yeah, I do. I mean, you still have your supervisor.
Okay.
Like, there's 1 or 2 supervisors always on, and they
You can
help
refer
along.
a call
Yeah.
to them or something.
Anytime something comes up as a risk, like any mental health issue or anything like that, you call them over and they help you.
Like if it's like a suicide risk or
Oh, well,
something
yeah,
like that.
definitely. That's
Right.
like high risk.
Right.
But even if it's anything such as someone saying like, oh, I suffer from panic attacks, you'd still call the supervisor over and have their guidance for a little bit.
Oh, okay.
So it's you're supported a lot with it.
Yeah, the training sounds really good, and it's good
Yeah.
that you've got that support.
Yeah, it was really good to go over like lots of new issues and learn about lots of stuff that, I mean, I thought I was well informed, but there's so much stuff that you don't know, and we were like really educated on like LGBTQ issues and things
Okay.
like that, which was really good.
Right. Do you think it's sort of, how does it kind of blend or complement the sort of academic side of your degree? Do you think it brings sort of mental health or
Yeah.
developmental, does it bring it alive or?
Yeah, I think definitely, because I mean, like most because you have your chats and your calls, and generally your chats are people who have like mental health issues and are dealing with a lot. So yeah, like loads of different issues come up, and you have to have some degree of knowledge about them, and then they also educate you a little bit about them.
What do you think, let's have a think. What would you say to other students that were thinking of volunteering or that aren't sort of quite sure about juggling it with their studies? That's often a barrier for some people. Can you juggle it okay with your work?
I mean, it's really time consuming. Like the shift is 4.5 hours, and I also have to obviously travel to Nottingham, travel back. But I mean, I'm okay at managing my things anyway, and I don't generally think their workload is very high. But obviously, some people do have issues with that. But you can just do like an hour a week.
Okay, that's really good. So it's quite flexible once you've done the training.
I mean, yeah, because you can just be a switchboard, or you can do a little bit of admin. You don't have to be a counsellor.
Do you do overnight shifts, or do some people do?
I don't tend to, just because they don't really like
work for you.
Work for me. There's lots of bases around the UK. I think there's like one in London that's just like a night base.
Right.
But generally with those calls, they do try and get the person to go to sleep and ring back the next day.
Okay. Makes sense, doesn't it?
There's not like that much demand for those.
All right, good. And do you feel that, I mean, you're obviously giving a lot to that organisation. Do you feel like I'm going to ask you two questions. Do you feel like valued and respected? And then the second question is, what do you feel you're sort of gaining from it? So what do you think you're giving to the organisation? Do they appreciate volunteers?
Yeah, I definitely feel valued and
Respected?
Start again. Yeah, I definitely feel valued and respected. I remember, like, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I had one shift that was quite difficult, and then I had another shift a few days later on the next week that was really difficult as well. And then I had a shift the day after that because I was making up for a lost shift. And then I just rang in that day and just said, it's just a bit much. I just think I can't really go in today. And they were really, really supportive about it.
They understood.
Yeah, definitely. And then another supervisor rang me who was on those 2 difficult shifts and just had a chat with me to make sure I was okay.
So you're protected and okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And we have like briefing sessions and debriefing sessions before and after every shift, just to make sure that we're okay, to go on and do it, and then also that we're leaving like feeling okay and not like really affected. But
sort of going back to Heather, you know, it sounds to me like Amy's experience parallels what you might expect if you were like a trainee psychologist or a trainee social worker.
Well, without a doubt, yes.
You get that sort of
mirror that completely, that level of training
and the support
and the debriefing. Yeah, I'm really pleased to hear that that's
it's good that's in place.
You.
And do you feel that, you know, Heather mentioned things like growing a sense of confidence and learning different skills? Do you feel that's something?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, we were pretty much taught, like, obviously how to counsel, and it's like our brain was rewired, because how you think that you would counsel by saying, like, oh, I understand, like, oh, you should do this and this. They're like, don't do that. Don't say I understand.
Right.
And say, like, oh, that's understandable. And don't try and offer solutions. You need to try and guide them to get their own solutions. So
you've sort of learnt those counselling skills.
Yeah, it's completely like flipped how I would think that you would do that.
Right.
So I've definitely learnt those skills, and that's really helped me, like, in my personal life. I've been a lot more empathetic.
Right.
And I think I'm better with advice and stuff.
Right, to friends and things with family.
Yeah.
And yourself, I guess.
Myself, yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you both for coming in. Did you have anything to ask Amie, Heather?
Not on radio. But I'd love to know more about her experience. It sounds absolutely
right. Well, it's maybe because
really.
I think your organisation. Do you think they're keen to take on more people, or
yeah, definitely.
Anything like that?
We have a call every 25 seconds, and we obviously can't meet all of those calls. I think, you know, we are.
Hang on a sec. A call every 25
seconds. Yeah.
That's really scary.
Yeah. There is usually quite a long call of children trying to get in contact.
Right, gosh.
I think we have 1,500 volunteers now, but obviously, like, we do need more. Like, we can't keep up with how many contacts we have.
If somebody wanted to find out about volunteering with Childline, they just go to a website, is there?
Yeah, so I think it's on the NSPCC website.
Okay.
And you can go to volunteer with us, and it shows you the different opportunities
Brilliant,
they have.
Okay.
And then you can do admin, switchboard, or counselling.
That's really interesting.
Yeah,
it's very varied, isn't it? Yeah. Well, thank you both for coming in. Thank you very much. Good luck with all the work that you're doing and supporting our students and encouraging them. So hopefully some of our listeners will, you know, hear this and feel that they can get out there and take up some opportunities that are offered through the university and through their local communities.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, we really encourage it.
There to help them do that.
There's real support around
massive support
around the university and also in the community and things.
Definitely.
So get in touch if you've got any questions, and then we'll just say goodbye. Bye. Bye.